we have 2 upcoming shows, which really Copenhagen and the Rock Hearts Festival in Germany, and then for me it's gone, you know.
Okay.
I want to do a break, and I talked to the band last year that I want to slow down the things a little bit, you know. I'm still healthy, I'm still powerful, I'm still creative, you know. But I would just want to spend more time with family, friends, doing other things, you know.
Tom, here we are again. The Arsonist is coming, June 27. 17 albums at this point. Like, how do you feel today?
I feel very happy because I get my first copy.
Awesome. Wonderful.
It's always a special day when you're recording an album and working so hard on it, and you get the finished product in your hands, you know, especially the vinyl one, you know.
Yeah.
I'm really happy. You know? We worked. I think we worked 2 years on this album, you know.
Exactly. It takes, some people sometimes forget that you don't get that vinyl copy the day after you write and record some songs. It takes some time. In that process, though, I want to ask you, the last album was, I thought, really well received, Genesis 19. I thought it was a great album as well. I had some specific songs. This album was a little different, obviously, for a number of reasons. For somebody as experienced as you, that has been here for a while, when an album gets really good reviews and people really like it, and, you know, Sodom was everywhere, you know, we saw you play everywhere. Mm-hmm. When you then go into number 17, do you feel additional pressure when an album, the previous album, is so well received, or is it like at this point in your career you've seen it all, you've done it all? Does that not impact you too much anymore?
Yes, it did, because I think Genesis 19 and the album before, Decision Day, was really successful, and we got really good reviews at that time, you know. But I never mind, because we just write to another Sodom album, you know. We don't want to compare it to that we say this album was more successful, we have to change anything, you know. You know, we just wrote a new Sodom album, and we are lucky that the reviews so far are really, really good, you know. In the end, I'm really interested what the fans say about it, you know. They just listen to 2 or 3 songs, which we released on a lyric video, you know. But the fans didn't get the new completely album, you know. I never mind. I'm proud when I did it, you know. When in the end I can hold the finished product in my hand. So now we cannot change anything, you know.
Right.
So when we decided recording an album in the studio and mixing it, mastering, then it's gone, you know. But in the end, I can tell you, each song you never get a song finished in the end, you know.
Right.
Even it's recorded, you know. And if you play songs more live, you change live, in the live shows, you change something, you know. But it's the 17th album, but it's my personal 34th album, because I did a lot of Uncle Tom projects years ago, you know. I think there's nobody out, no musician out like me had so many records out.
Do you own every record that you've been on? Because those are a lot.
No, I'm not a collector, no. I realized 2 years ago that I checked my vinyl collection, and some of the Sodom albums were missing, you know. There was especially the Masquerading Blood I'm looking for, and I get it on Discogs for 150 euros, something like this, you know. And I bought it from a guy, because I never collect something, you know. When I get my records, I give it to friends, you know. But I don't have a Sodom. But now I have all the vinyls, especially the first press, you know, all in my collection.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I wanted to ask about Uncle Tom, because it's been since 2018, I think, that we saw the last new material of that, and there's always been a lot of fun. I mean, who doesn't like to sing about schnapps on a thrash riff? Before we continue with everything Sodom, and anything that you can share that you're working on, or any plans?
No plans.
No.
I want to tell you that I want to slow down the things a little bit anyway, you know. And we have 2 upcoming shows, which really Copenhagen and the Rock Hearts Festival in Germany, and then for me it's gone, you know.
Okay.
I want to do a break, and I talked to the band last year that I want to slow down the things a little bit. I'm still healthy, I'm still powerful, I'm still creative. But I would just want to spend more time with family, friends, doing other things.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
The thing is, in my age, if you're getting 62, you don't want to. I spend time on the stage, which I really enjoy, but I don't want to waste time on airports, on hotels, buses, whatever. So I
Yeah.
decided to do a break,
Okay.
just for a while. I don't know how long it will take. I don't have any plans for a comeback. Because when I'm doing plans for coming back, I would set myself under pressure. I don't want.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
I want to do other things. I just want to do my home office. We are working on a back catalog. We want to re-release the older material on BMG Records. So what we're gonna do now is working on a Get What You Deserve re-release for next year, maybe. I'm still busy.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
just
yeah,
want to do my home office. But
Okay.
I
All
talked,
right.
I talked to the band, my band to say, so I don't have any plans for Sodom or Uncle Tom in the next times.
Love my friends who are drifting, hated by those who can't be crushed. Don't do is gonna throw away.
I'm glad then that I saw you play not too long ago. I was lucky enough to see you play Hell's Heroes in Texas a while back, which was last year's edition, which was really cool. You guys closed the festival there, and I grew up in Belgium, but I moved to Canada as an adult. And obviously in Belgium, the German thrashing was very present because, there was all like German bands would always come to Belgium as well. And we would see you there and either at the big festivals or headline tours. And,
I
we saw yourself.
remember, I remember in '85, when we start our first shows, that was Belgium.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
They played the Metal Festival, that was very famous in these times. With Johan was a promoter, I remember. Yes, it's a big metal scene.
Yeah.
But weird. So I remember after when Corona was gone here, worldwide, we start touring everywhere. We got so many offers playing the whole world. And I remember the last years we played many shows. But the thing is, when you play in Hell's Heroes, whatever, you just have one show and you're traveling for 8, 9 days.
Right, for sure.
This is something.
For sure.
This is something you are thinking about when you get 60 years or older. That you don't want to waste time.
So
I know it's always uncomfortable to decide this. But it's my decision.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do want to ask you about that show specifically at Hell's Heroes because, like I said, like as you said, the German bands were always playing in Belgium, and growing up, you guys, not just Sodom itself, but definitely Sodom itself. But then the German thrashing was very influential for my upbringing. Like, and I got into thrash because of all these European and German thrash bands. But then was it a surprise for you to see how well a traditional American audience welcomed you at Hell's Heroes? Because you were also like Hell's Heroes until that year was really more the Keep It True Festival of the States.
Yes,
and with that edition, they went a little bit more extreme, more black metal, more thrash metal, some death metal. And I know there were quite a few people there that were like, let's see how the audience, goes for that. And then when you guys played, that was an insane show. I lost count how many people were crowd surfing at that show. When you were offered this show, was there like a voice in the back of your mind going like, is that the right audience for us? Is that like, or how are we going to be received? And then just seeing on stage how well, that must have been a really cool moment for you.
Yes, it was, because I don't know why. Because I think Sodom is a rarity, especially in US America.
Yeah.
I talk to the fans. I'm in contact to fans via Facebook and all this stuff. They always tell me, you never played US America. All the bands are touring, like Creator or the Structures touring every day, every year. it's boring. We want to see Sodom, you know. Yes, and that is the reason why people are waiting for us so long, you know. And then when you come on stage, and they get celebrate. But I also think people are getting more and more in old school historical bands, you know.
Right.
And I also realized that there was a new generation of very young people growing up like our music, you know. We had a meet and greet. There was a little girl. She was 10 years old, you know, and she's wearing patches with Hellhammer, Venom, and all this stuff, you know. And I told her, why you listen to these bands, you know? And she told me, I really enjoy the old school bands from the 80s, you know, all the bands who started all this stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And she don't listen to Arch Enemy, you know. Because all the bands coming in the scene nowadays, it's getting out of control, you know. And she told me she liked the bands her father heard, you know, like Venom and Hellhammer, Sodom, and all this stuff, you know. I think there is a new generation who really respect the old school bands, you know. Because in my opinion, it's the bands coming from the 80s, like Sodom and all that are the real metal bands, you know.
Right.
There was no metalcore, there was no black metal, death metal. I think Sodom is a metal band, you know.
Right.
That's and a lot of people thought on the last album there was a little bit black metal influence in it, you know. I never mind, you know. Come on, who started all this stuff, you know? Sodom was the second generation of black metal, so-called black metal band.
Yeah.
And I'm really impressed because there are so many young people coming to our shows, you know.
On this album, we get some of your own nostalgia as well. I mean, I think for fans, quite well known at this point. Casual listeners might not be fully aware, but we have obviously one of the singles that was released, Witchhunter, which it's nothing to do with hunting witches necessarily. It's all about Chris, who was a drummer for a long time, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Looking like using your own legacy, if you will, as some sort of inspiration as well. Does that make songs like that? You said like, okay, yeah, I've got a couple of shows still planned, but I'm going to take a break after that. But this is a song that I can only imagine the fans really wanting to hear live. Is this, when songs are so personal, because we've seen Sodom talk about a lot of things, a lot of history, war, what have you, society, not always so clearly super personal and maybe even like vulnerable to an extent. How is that for you to play songs like that? Is that hard?
No, it's when he plays live, you know, I never think about it. I just try to get the lyrics, you know, and concentrate on the show, concentrate on the bass playing, you know. I know the song Witchhunter is really personal because, you know, he was, when we started the band in '82, he was my best friend over years, you know, until we kicked him out in '92, you know. And I came up with him because my drummer is a really big Witchhunter fan. He said, I like his chaotic drumming, which is really iconic, you know. And Toni, he's told me he want to try to combine the spiritful Chris Witchhunter drumming with a new modern accurate drumming, you know. And this guy is always present, you know, especially when we recorded the 40 years sampler, you know.
Yeah.
We get in all the material. We listen to Obsessed by Cruelty and all this stuff, you know. And this guy's, and when we play live shows, there is the most songs we're going to play is like Agent Orange, Bob Marley, all songs where Witchhunter was on the drums in the beginning, you know. He's always present, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know, he had a big impact on the metal scene, or the drummer scene in the 80s, you know. But I don't want to explain him as a hero, I don't want to describe him as a hero, you know. His life went so tragic because of alcohol abuse, which everybody knows, you know.
Yeah.
But I still miss him after all the years, you know. He was really my best friend, you know, and I tried to talk and stop drinking, you know. But when he left Sodom, you know, he started more drinking, you know, that's, you know. But when we play live, I don't think about it, you know, I just push it out, you know.
War drums rolling, spirituality gone in the face of eternity. The raging storm could lead the fire.
Maybe we're gonna do on the Rock Cuts, will the last show. we gotta play Witchhunter, because I think this will be the most favorite song of this album, you know.
Yeah.
Because of the catchy title of the person, you know, and even the song.
The connection, yeah. I mean, the fans obviously understand the emotional connection. From a musical perspective, it might be one of the more blueprint or stereotypical Sodom songs, but this album isn't a stereotypical Sodom album necessarily. Neither were the previous two, and I know that a lot of fans were really happy when Frank Blackfire came back and put his mark. I think you've been on record already saying that for this album, really everybody was contributing for this album, making it the diverse album that it was.
Yes.
And that diverse nature, for me, definitely also stands out. Like, for example, the previous album, my favorite song on that album is Indoctrination, which is almost like a punk song.
Yes.
And
that's a Frank Blackfire song, yeah.
It's a little different, you know? And so is it as simple as, you know, less restrictions that you put on yourself and everybody kind of, you know, contributing that makes the diverse sound that Sodom now has today?
Yeah, that makes it so colorful. It's not only the production which we recorded on tape with the drums, you know. I think when Toni came up as a guitarist, the most people don't know that he's a good guitarist, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he came up with some guitarists, and it's completely different to Frank Blackfire's 80 old school thrashy Agent Orange style, you know. And Johannes came he's doing more epic songs like Return to God in Pubs, you know. And that makes it so colorful, you know. But in the end, you know, we paid to the rehearsal room and tried to arrange the songs, you know, because I'm not a songwriter in this way. I'm a kind of arranger, you know. I have to arrange the song because I'm a singer in a band. I have to put my lyrics on it, you know. But that makes it colorful. So we can do what we want, you know. What I told before, you know, it doesn't matter what kind of guitar riffs you are coming up with, you know. If it's a good riff or it's a good song idea, we gotta take it, you know. And but it's important to keep the typical Sodom trademarks, you know. And one of our trademarks is writing good chorus lines, you know. That we have over the years, you know. We always try to write song you listen once or twice and never forget, you know.
Right.
When I listen sometimes to some metalcore there is nothing stays in my mind, you know, because there are some good chorus lines in it, you know. And this is a typical Sodom trademark, good chorus lines, more vocals and a bass sound, you know. And especially in this album, the drum sound, you know.
The evil spirits you always call never left from your side. Temptation was always too great to resist.
If you look back on the long career now that you've had, throughout the decades, Germany has been a unique country for metal. It's after the United States, the biggest market for rock music today in the world, and definitely, definitely more, you know, extreme or less radio minded than the United States at this point. But it also meant that for a lot of bands, a lot of German bands, it made a lot of sense to almost completely focus their career on Germany, and then let's include Austria and Switzerland into that region. And there's bands that became huge, rock bands, metal bands, that became huge in Germany, but weren't really well known outside of Germany. When you look back on your career, like, would you want to have made that jump to North America and other places earlier than you ended up doing?
It's in my opinion, we had to do more shows in US America, you know. I know that a lot of bands like the Scorpions, you know, they're getting big in US America, coming back to Europe as rock stars, you know.
Yeah.
That was completely different. For me, Sodom was Germany always the most important market, you know.
Yeah.
It still is, because we have the biggest metal scene worldwide, in my opinion. We have the most festival scene worldwide. You know, we have 50 festivals in small Germany, you know.
Yeah.
And I know it's a shame. We have to do more. I remember the first time we were sitting on packed cases waiting for the first US tour in '87, you know, for 6 weeks, you know. And then I got a phone call from my manager. the tour is cancelled. Goodbye, zack. And we were sitting there, we were completely disappointed about that, you know, because we want to go to America. And from that time, we always had problems going to America, you know. We always had problems. If you go to US America, you need some papers, you know, the visa stuff, you know. And I remember we supposed to play Maryland Death Bands a couple of years ago, you know. And I came to the embassy in Frankfurt. We wanted just one show or two shows in America, you know. And this officer told me there was one sheet is missing. The next one, please go home, you know. So we couldn't go. We always had problems. I don't know why. So I'm glad that we did the Texas Festival and a couple of other shows. It's in New York and Chicago, and, you know, it was great. I know that people are waiting for us, you know. They're going to tell me all the time, you know, why Sodom don't come to US America? Creators playing every year, Destruction's touring every year, you know. I don't know why, but if there will be a comeback with Sodom or myself, I will go to US America for the first time. You know? That's the first thing I do, because the last shows we did in US America, that was completely sold out, you know.
Yeah.
People get really crazy, you know, because there were a lot of people saw Sodom for the first time in their life, you know. But I think Germany still is the biggest market for us, you know.
Yeah. No, and it makes definitely a lot of sense, obviously. And it's in the German market that you will say goodbye for now, for a time, before you take a break. So we've got some historical shows to look forward to. I obviously hope that those shows, especially the last show, will be properly recorded, so that all the fans can experience that after the fact as well. But in the meantime, I know that you have lots on your wish list to do. There's a lot of legacy material that we'd love to see reissued properly, with right attention. So we'll keep our eyes over that.
That's also a lot of work, you know. I remember 2 weeks ago, my ex-guitarist Andy Briggs was at my home. We scanned the slides and all this stuff, tons of it, you know. Because when I'm gonna do a re-release, you know, I want to put everything in it, you know.
Yeah.
It's not just to make money. I want to give everything, like we have some rehearsal recording, some live recording, whatever, you know. That's how they're tapping the vein. We had a live recording. The last show was Chris Witchhunter, you know, which was not a good recording, you know, but it doesn't matter. It's a historical document for the collector scene, you know. I will spend a lot of time for it, but I just want to do my home office, you know.
Exactly.
I'm sitting here scanning slides, you know.
Well, we need a special edition of whatever reissue that you're working on in the future that comes with a beautiful Knadenheim statue. That's what we need. We need a proper statue for all the collectors out there, like myself.
That is a good idea, yeah.
Awesome. Well, Tom, it was such a privilege getting to talk to you about this new album and everything that's going on, and dive a little bit in your history as well. I feel very lucky that I got to see the show at Hell's Heroes, and I hadn't seen you obviously before that as well in Europe. I keep my fingers crossed that Hell's Heroes was not the last time that I see you on a stage, and I'm pretty sure it won't be. But I wish you all the best with these upcoming shows, and then with all the home office work for all these reissues that you're planning. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and have a fantastic release cycle with this new album.
Thanks, man, and take care. All right, see you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.